Okay, dear viewer, thanks for joining us yet again on this edition of the program, The Arena, where we meet to take on burning topical issues and matters as it affects us as a people. On Aneke television, it runs. My name is Chris Aneke. Thanking you for having joined us. I hope you know that the task of nation building is a very big Herculean task, especially for the people of this country. But do you know, as a citizen, your role? You've got a role to play for the nation to move forward in the task of building the nation. The citizens also are involved. It's not always the government side. Yes, of course, we know the government side, leadership and its challenges. But what about the followership? These are more on the show today. And we have joining us a seasoned and experienced communicator. As a matter of fact, I just want to take a little time in reading out one or two areas of his profile. He's a seasoned communication leader, scholar, I beg your pardon, senior lecturer in the Department of Mass Communication, Enugu State University of Science and Technology, ESUT. He has over 3 decades of experience in teaching, research, and public engagement. He also has served as Executive Assistant on Research and Publicity to the Governor of Enugu State. He also has served as a former Senior Legislative Aide at the National Assembly between 2007 and 2015. He is very passionate about civic responsibility, nation building, and shaping the next generation of critical thinkers. Dear viewer, we refer to Dr. Maxwell Menkiti Ngene. You're welcome to Aneke television today.
Thank you very much, Chris.
A lengthy profile.
Thank you.
We have, even though we had to abridge it, you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
for
sir.
inviting me.
You're welcome, sir.
Viewer, you're welcome to our program.
Yes, sir. So just sit back as we chat around the task of nation building for us as a people. Yes, part of your profile reads that you're very passionate
about civic engagement.
Civic engagement, and especially nation building.
That's correct.
And so now the interest is on nation building. So when we say nation building, Dr. Ngene, what are we looking at here, sir?
Thank you very much. I'm happy that currently I'm teaching communication and national development for the final year students in ESUT.
Oh.
So today we are talking about nation building. More often than not, a lot of people believe that nation building is like a spectator sport. You know, a lot of people appear not to understand what we mean by nation building. When we talk about nation building, we are talking about being patriotic. We are talking about selfless service. We are talking about seeing Nigeria as our own, talking positively about our country. We are talking about value reorientation of our people. We are talking about a country where we have to make contribution to, not just a country where we want to know what the country has done for us. Nation building is not just a situation or a process where somebody is saying those in government. Nation building is the task of everybody. Nation building is a commitment by Nigerian people that has to do with ensuring better life for everybody, helping citizens to become self-reliant, where we talk well about each other, where we respect values, where we understand the essence of freedom of expression, where we understand the essence of rule of law as that principle which is bigger than any other thing, where we learn to respect the human dignity, where we also learn to pay our taxes. Nation building is a whole lot of things. Nation building has to do with ensuring that the right things are done, that we see Nigeria from the way civilized people behave, not just looking at Nigeria from the religious ethno prism, where we see Nigeria from a jaundiced lens, where we begin to say, Oshiwe, Oyebe, where is he from? What religious body does he belong to? Before we begin to deal with the person. So when we talk about nation building, it's a very serious issue. And it is because we've not attained nation building, because nation building has to do with national development. That's why we have retrogressed. That's why we are in serious problem, because a nation that has been built, a country that has achieved national development, nation building, must also have achieved rural development, must also have achieved a level of self-sustainability for its citizenry in terms of youth employment, in terms of zero tolerance for corruption, so many things. But when the program progresses,
well, good enough. You've been able to establish a very beautiful background introduction into the matter on the table today.
thank you.
The next we want to know from you, sir, is talking about nation building. There must have to be a nation for it to be built.
Yes.
Is Nigeria a nation? If yes, if no, what makes a nation?
It's been there's been a long debate regarding
Around it.
You know, even Awolowo didn't believe it's a nation. He says it's a geographical expression. You know, a lot of scholars argue here and forth, what should it be? For us who are Igbos of Nigeria, who are from the Southeast Geopolitical Zone, we feel that way. Majority of our youths, that's why they keep talking about separatist agitation. They want to leave. This country is a scam. We do not belong here. If we belong here, why is it that we're excluded? You know, that kind of thing. So they say Nigeria is not, this is a zoo country, you know, because of some of those problems. So to a reasonable degree, Nigeria is a nation, but there's a need, because people like Nnamdi Azikiwe, people like Awolowo, Aminu Kano, some of these Saradona of Sokoto, some of these founding fathers of ours will be crying wherever they are, because it is not the country they envisioned that we are in. It's not the nation they fought for during the era of the colonialists, remember. So a lot of efforts has been made at attaining nation building through constitutional reform efforts, through fighting in the Nigerian Civil War, through experiments at democracy, until we got to this point.
Maybe for those caliber of men, you know, the founding fathers, maybe for them, the Ezeags, the Sadaunas, the Awos, maybe just for them. Yes, Nigeria is a nation.
Yes.
But beyond their days, maybe Nigeria actually isn't a nation. Isn't that where the problem started? We started on a faulty foundation.
Yeah, we did. You know, a lot of people also believe that our problem started with the British people. There are people who argue along those lines. They say that Nigeria, the way it was conceived, because people need to agree on certain principles. The meshing of the northern and southern protectorates into one was part of the problem. And you can see that because of the difficulties the British people had in getting into the Igbo land, the southeast, during that era, it brought some measure of antagonism, mutual distrust between the Igbos and the white men. And they saw us as people who are rigid, who are not easily conquered. So when they were creating the way Nigeria should be, the Northerners they had it easy with them. So they believed they could work with them. But the Igbos are a group of people who ask questions, even if you're giving them food. even if you're the one paying for their school fees, there are things you will do that will begin to query it, question it. Those
Isn't that being prideful?
It's not about...
Isn't that arrogance?
There's some measure of arrogance about us. But in the context of Nigeria, Igbos are hardworking people. They believe that on a fair playing ground, that they can hold their head, in the struggle.
Has that attitude helped us so far?
It's not for me to say in this program, because we are talking about nation building.
That's right.
If you invite me in another program,
then we can talk about it.
We can, because I even saw a disturbing video trending from Ghana, where some Ghanaian youths were asking Igbos to leave because Igbos were in the environment where they saw themselves, where they have been developing in Ghana. There's an Igbo, they say, is their leader. This man is our own king. And those people have been question it. And they have forgotten so quickly what it took. Because I remember in the 80s, 80, 81, 82, Ghanaians were part of the people that built the ATV when the Israelis were constructing the ATV in Independence Layout. So they were here. We used to play draft together. They used to speak their language. They were hungry. They left their country in search of greener pasture. Things appear to have changed, which is
remember you told them once Ghana must go.
Yes.
So now they are telling you,
so
you
can
must
see
go.
It's disheartening. I say it's a disturbing video trending.
Yeah.
But you see, we need to ask ourselves, what is the current reality in our country that wants to achieve nation building? And it is also disturbing.
Okay.
Those in government are stealing. Those in government do not allow an environment where marriage should thrive. Those who do not have Abraham as father are not given opportunities to thrive. Children from poor homes struggle to go to school. At the end of it, nobody employs them, even when they are very well qualified. Those who have their own brothers and sisters in high places are preferred, and in most cases, those people are inferior in terms of intellectual property, in terms of preparedness. And the country that behaves that way will hardly achieve nationhood. So when we are talking about national development, we need to begin to ask questions about current reality. Current reality in the sense that we are asking, why is it that those who have been ruling since 1999 are not thinking about building industries? In Enugu State, for instance, you would have noticed that some industries that used to employ people, like the Hotel Presidential, was
abandoned,
brought into a state of comatose. It was dead. And governments, one after the other, came, saw it, did nothing about it. Where they took some of the televisions, the mattresses, the cooking utensils, things that were there, air conditioners, we don't know. Nobody talks about it. Were they stolen? Were they shared to cronies and family members? Nobody talks about it. The problem is that also those who should talk do not talk, for fear of reprisal, for fear of being hounded, for fear of intimidation, for fear to be killed. These things, people must talk. The problem with us is that most times people say, no, basaroha, it's none of their business. But in the final analysis, you will find out that no basagi, because if you do not participate during elections, you do not vote, you end up having people who are unpopular, who didn't prepare to govern, who were dressed like Cinderella and brought to rule so that they can protect the tract of those before them in terms of covering up corrupt, areas of sleaze and so on and so forth. So that's the problem.
Okay.
If you want to develop, you need to be honest. We need our leaders to lead by example.
That's for the leadership.
The leadership.
Okay. When we return from this short break, we're going to launch on the followership, the role of the citizens the role of the people, the role of the led.
Okay.
Because most of the time, the narrative always seems to, center around the leadership.
Without knowing that,
The problem with us is
not the air we breathe.
is leadership.
It's not the water we drink.
You understand?
It's squarely on leadership. Yes.
Maybe we now need to, change the narrative and begin to
it's not
tell
even
ourselves
about to a reasonable degree.
What we're expected.
Well, when we come
what
back,
expected of
because
us,
to a
yes.
reasonable degree,
You understand?
the leadership is the driver.
Maybe.
Because if you look at what is happening in Enugu State, for instance, under Peter Mba, you will come to terms with the fact that it depends on who is the leader.
Let's come back from the break. Dear viewer, don't go anywhere. The best is yet to come. Yes, Dr. Maxwell again is still very much with us on the show. So we'll be right back. Stay with us on Aneke TV.
Ihe a bụ Aneke TV.
All right, dear viewer, thanks for returning with us on the show. We are looking at Nigeria and the task of nation building, the role of the citizenry, and we'll still have the honor of the presence of Dr. Maxwell Menkiti Ngene, a senior lecturer at the Department of Mass Communication at Assests here in Enugu. Dr. Ngene, before we went on the break,
we were talking about followership.
Looking at
do they have any role to play?
Do they have any role to play? Because we need to sensitize our people. You use the word reorientate.
Yes.
We need to re-enlighten.
Yes.
Because every accusing finger points always, every analysis points at leadership.
Yes.
We know leadership has not done fairly well enough for the people.
Yeah.
But for the people themselves, do they really have any role to play in building up the nation?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is a good question. So we have to start with who is the citizen. Who is the citizen? Is it the one who is carrying a green passport? Is that the person we refer as to citizen? Is it who? So if we are talking about nation building, we need to look at not just fiscal infrastructure. If we want to talk about the role of followers in nation building, they have a lot of role to play.
They have a lot.
A lot. One, you need to understand that you must participate in civic engagement.
Which involves?
Which involves, one, you must vote when the time comes. You must be able to pay your taxes. You must be able to question policies of government. People in Enugu, they say that the government of Peter Mba is overtaxing them. They have a right to ask questions. It calls for the leadership of the Ogbete market, the leadership of Kenyatta market, to seek audience with the governor, for instance, to point out their reservation and seek for his understanding. It needs dialogue. It needs negotiation. It needs compromise. That's what happens in a democracy. Some of the people who were questioning the governor, for instance, when he started destroying things he didn't want to see in Holy Ghost, in Gariki, some of them are beginning to change their perception of him. Because when you go to Holy Ghost now, you will notice that the place is no longer as bad as it used to be in terms of the number of mad people, in terms of hoodlums, in terms of even the environmental aesthetics. People are now seeing modernization. People can now see his vision, where he's driving. That is why people talk about leadership. Because when leadership is right, even in families, you can't be a father and tell your son or daughter, because chokwami foge nilo by 8 o'clock. As a father, you have to be in the house to know if those children kept to that rule. So the leader is important, but followership is also very important. As a follower, you must be able to obey the laws of the land, because there are consequences for those who flout the law. You must also be accountable. And those in leadership position must be open. They must be transparent. They must be free of corruption. They must be accountable to the people if we need to achieve nation building. the citizens again must understand the essence of volunteerism. When you are called upon to do certain things, you've invited me to your program in Aneke television. I'm not asking you about the money I used in buying my fuel, because as a public intellectual, I need to serve the community by enlightening them, by teaching them certain things. This is a price I must pay. So there are things you must do. You must not just be waiting for what Enugu will do for you. What will you do for Enugu to make Enugu a better place?
Or in a more
bigger context, what will you do for Nigeria to make Nigeria a better place than you made it, rather than what Nigeria will do for you? Those in the federal level in Nigeria, those are the federal government, under Tinubu's government. You must think of how to treat people fairly. You must allow a free playing ground for people from all ethnic nationalities in Nigeria, over 250 of them, to compete in a healthy manner. There should be no exclusion. Rather, there should be integration of people from all geopolitical zones. A situation where people from the Middle Belt, the Bedouin place, the Kogi place, are being killed almost on a daily basis by alleged Fulani herdsmen, by alleged Marudas, intruders, is not good enough. Situation where government will be aware that things are going wrong without acting is wrong, because no life is bigger than the other. Life is a primary value. If you are in a particular geopolitical zone and saying, yes, it is our turn, we are Southwesterners, it is Yorubas, it's our turn, Emiloko, and those who should act and ask questions do not act, because it's happening in the Southeast today, it is happening in Benue, in the Middle Belt. One day it will come to you. It's just like the proverbial okwa. Ndị Igbo na-asị na ọkụkọ na-achị ọchị ebe a na-akpọcha ọkwa, without knowing na nke dị isi.
Though we are not praying for problems.
We are not praying for problems. No, it's not about this. But if you do not solve a problem, the problem is waiting for you until you solve it. In today's Nigeria, begin to see what is happening. We are talking about nation building. We are talking about free education at secondary and primary level. Do you know what it takes people to come to school? In Esut, for instance, from Enugu, transport alone is about 3,000 without the student eating any food. Who do you think can benefit from a beautiful academic environment like Esut without food in his stomach? How many parents can afford that kind of transport fare for students? What is the tuition? A lot should be done. There's a need for us as followers, as those that are led, to engage those in leadership position in a constructive manner.
How? Because the confusion most of the time, Dr. Maxwell, you are a communicator.
Yes, yes. People like you in the media have a role to play.
Over time, citizens have been encouraged to speak up.
Yes.
The media has provided the platform.
Yes.
For instance, the program we are running on Aneke TV is a veritable instrument, for people to engage. But then at the end of the day, you come to discover that in the circle of communication, the input, the output, the feedback, the response ends on the table of the leader. But most of the time, Dr. Maxwell, it begins to look like even the people you're talking to
are not listening.
They are not listening, they are not watching.
You know the problem? Let me tell you.
What do the people do beyond that? Some other times we've seen in this country where maybe especially young people came together to carry out protests, to draw the attention of the government towards their demands.
Yes.
And it ends up in a violent form.
It needn't be in a violent form.
You also said that citizens need to
engage government people
get themselves involved in periodic elections to change leadership.
Yes. Participate even in voting to determine who becomes.
Do the people still trust in the electoral process in the country?
That's a major problem.
What do the people do?
Yeah, there are a lot
in
of things.
In the face of all of this,
the things should start from the home. Parents must ensure that they engage their children, talk to them, teach them. We must start from our own places doing the things we can do in terms of even keeping our environments clean. When you talk about followership, government will not do everything for you. It is not government that will come and cut the grasses near you so that snake won't bite you. There are things we need to do as followers. We must do those little things. We must learn to even mentor younger people. I came into Aneke's TV and I'm very happy. Why am I happy? Because I've been a broadcast journalist all my life. I am seeing the little effort that has been done. This is magical. It's unthinkable. Even at our levels, we are learning from what we have seen. I have also seen that I can come here to teach even some staff on use of camera, how to operate cameras, how to compose shots, how to change angles. I can teach them audio, microphone usage, pick-up pattern, sound balancing, sound control, how to direct shows, and so on. People must be able to mentor. And we need to reform our institutions. The media people must begin to talk and talk. Let's not say that they don't hear it. We need to begin to question the process of leadership emergence. Some of the people that are councillors, some of the people that are in the House of Assembly, how do they emerge? How do they emerge? Are they the best brains? Have we really done a check on them to know whether they are qualified in the first instance? Can anybody make omelette without breaking eggs? Can you give what you do not have? There are problems. Do you know that at the time before, when Buhari was president, during the APC convention, it was as if there was a check on the current President Tinubu, and it was as if he wouldn't emerge. He now began to shout, "Ebiloko, it's my turn. I knew what I've done to make Buhari, who has failed 4 elections, to emerge." Didn't it happen? Are those things not in public domain? So you can see that if you do not fight for something, you won't get a result. It is the collective effort of everybody to ensure that Nigeria works.